Trucks, built to serve.
Back here, first things first, now joined by former Pro Bowl cornerback Brandon Flowers. Good
what
morning,
up, man?
Brandon.
Good to see you, brother.
Great to see you. You had a nice holiday. All right, let's dive in. Say what you will about the 9-7 Philadelphia Eagles. They are beat up. They fell way short of expectations. Wentz had let's call it a subpar year. They still won the NFC East, beating the Giants yesterday, and they're still going to the playoffs. Eagles will host the Seahawks on Sunday, and Carson Wentz, who led Philly to 4 straight wins to end the season, will be making his first ever postseason appearance.
I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful to be out here with the guys in these big, meaningful games. Grateful to be playing into January. The last few weeks have been, backs against the wall for us, and guys have responded and stepped up and kept making play after play after play, and just kept believing, and here we are, playing into January, and hopefully we can do something special now.
Bit of a tale of 2 seasons for Carson Wentz, the way he started the season and then the last 4 games at least. You think that Carson Wentz has silenced some of the doubters, Nick?
Silenced, no. Greatly quieted, yes. And by the way critics and doubters work, and you can consider me one of those people at times, is they can be quiet for a little bit, but there's always 1 week away from jumping right back out at you. And if they fall flat at home in the playoff game this weekend against Seattle, then a lot of those doubters and critics will come right back. But Carson Wentz has answered, no matter how they play against Seattle, some questions that we all had fairly about him coming into this year. Question 1, can he stay healthy for a full season? The answer is absolutely unequivocally yes. Question 2, can he play his best in the highest leverage, highest pressure moments? And the answer up to this point has been unequivocally yes. If they lose any of their final 4 games, they are not in the playoffs. The Dallas Cowboys are. The first of those must-win games, they're down 17-3 to the Giants. Wentz leads them on 3 straight touchdown drives. The second of those must-win games, they're trailing Washington in the 4th quarter. Wentz leads them on, I think, like a 13-play, 75-yard touchdown drive. The third of those 3 games, division on the line against the Cowboys. They dominate that game. And then yesterday, that game's 17-17 after Saquon goes house call at the tail end of the 3rd quarter. And all of a sudden, it's like all this work could have been done for nothing. And it was while even more, Brandon Brooks goes out of the game. Miles Sanders, who was playing well, he leaves the game. And Carson Wentz, once again, plays spectacularly late in that football game, makes the right plays. And so, no, he hasn't silenced the doubters to me, Brandon, but he has certainly quieted them a great deal.
The reason I think he silenced the doubters is just because look what he was playing with when he made all this happen. No Deshaun Jackson, who's his deep threat. Alshon Jeffrey is banged up all year. No Lane Johnson in the last game of the season. Aguilar was his only receiver that he could go to, and even he was out. But some way he found a way to make it happen. If it happened to Dak Prescott, if he only loses 1 receiver, that's all the reason he needs to say why he's not successful. But Carson Wentz lost 3, and he lost Ertz. So it's just like he had no weapons out there. He found a way to make it happen in that condition, in that weather. And if I feel like he had his weapons going into the playoffs, the Eagles will be a contender. So
it's not like they just ran the ball all day long. I mean, he had some deep shots down the field yesterday that he had confidence in to take and his guys to make.
Definitely. And I think if they had their pieces, they'll definitely be a contender. And they don't have to win their playoff game because he has an out. He doesn't have any weapons. No one expects him to win their playoff game. But if he just somehow make it close, I think it just shows how much of a player he is.
He doesn't have to win the playoff game, but I think a lot of people would be disappointed if they lose another game this year to the Seattle Seahawks and they're hosting it at home. I think people would be a little bit disappointed, but to all you guys' points, what Carson Wentz has done the last 4 weeks has been impressive. Now, you can't put the wins all on the quarterback. I think a big part of it has to be the defense. And 3 of those 4 wins, the defense has held the opposing team to under 20 points. So that defense showed up again yesterday, and I thought they made the game-sealing play with that Malcolm Jenkins strip off of Daniel Jones. Fletcher Cox recovered it at the 2-yard line. Boston Scott punches it in for a touchdown. They're up by double digits again. So I think that has to be a big part of the story with the Philadelphia Eagles. But your quarterback has also got to put you in position to be able to put that game away, and that's exactly what Carson Wentz did. Jenna, you mentioned some of the throws that he had. The throw he had down the seam to Dallas Goedert on the first scoring drive was impressive. The one where he's rolling out to his right and throws across his body to Josh Perkins. Then there was one where he threw it on an out to, I think it was Dallas Goedert again on a 3rd and 8 to set up a field goal. And then it was a situation where he had the one after a play had been called back, a 40-yard pass to Rob Davis from a holding penalty. He comes right back with another 40-yard pass to Deontay Burnett. So Carson Wentz has showed the ability to be able to push the ball down the field to a who's who cast of characters that's supporting him. So I think that's the most impressive thing about what he's done, to have this team be so short-handed and to be able to still find a way to win football games. That's why you pay a guy $34 million a year.
No, and you make such a good point. There's so many other quarterbacks that would say, well, I'm handcuffed because I don't have one of my guys. He really didn't have anyone, especially Ertz, who's been his #1 guy. But I'm just curious, how much, forget Carson Wentz, do you have any more confidence in the team? Because as you said all season long, they need something. They need a theme. They need something to all jump on that Doug Peterson can sell to them.
I think the point of the defense playing better is a critical one, because the defense had been horrifying on the road this year, allowing nearly 30 points per game. Yesterday, they're on the road. Really, aside from Saquon getting loose on that one play, I thought they played really well.
That was like a home game for them, though. There were more Eagles fans.
Did you hear how many Eagles fans were there?
That's definitely a fair point. But I thought the defense played well, and it continued to trend. And here's why I think they have a real shot this weekend. Seattle doesn't blow anybody out. Seattle has won 1 game this year by double digits. It was the first game against Arizona, and then they lost Arizona the next time around. They almost won another by the skin of their teeth game last night. Every Seattle win, or damn near every Seattle game, is close. So I think they'll be in this game late. And right now, Philly's got to feel as good as any team in football of, if it's close late, we can trust our quarterback. And your point on the injuries to the receivers, Brandon, is a critical one. We've literally never seen a quarterback have a season quite like Carson Wentz did. He just became the first quarterback ever to throw for 4,000 yards without having a single receiver get 500 yards receiving. So we've never had a quarterback throw for this many yards, having to distribute it this evenly. And it's not he has to distribute it evenly because I have such a bounty of weapons. It's because Deontay Burnett, nice to meet you, here's 42 yards. I mean, Perkins, I was not familiar with his work, if I'm totally candid with you. I mean, the only reason I knew Greg Ward was because I used to live in Houston. And he was the damn quarterback for that team. Like, what he's done, in your point about when Dak or other quarterbacks, Tom Brady is one of them, is down a weapon, we're like, well, you can't blame him.
Yeah.
Carson lost an entire Pro Bowl, or not Pro Bowl unit, but an entire unit of receivers, and he did what he did.
Also, don't forget, Seattle themselves are banged up, so they're not coming in here fully healthy either, so that should be a good match. All right, Brandon, stick around. Coming up, will Jason Garrett be fired today? That's next on First Things First.